9:27. Blessing from heaven, AM that is. All praise to the Father Yah and his son Yeshua as we do God's work and as we cleanse and detoxing our soul. Let's always give praise before we don't do anything. Yes, yes. And once again, peace and blessings to the brothers and sisters who doing God's work, planting up seeds inside your house and outside your household as well too. And peace and blessings to all those who come into the truth as well, because we need that salvation as well too. You just got to break that generational curse and things like that as well. And TGIFF, good motivation, no stagnation, and deprogram for being programmed when you got downtime for yourself as well too. Put on that white, cleanse. No food, no fluids, no alcohol. That's still fluids. No alcohols, no coffee, no drugs, no sugar, no stress, no I'm just naming whatever that you know will hinder you. That's what you need to be working on right now. And as we see, as it started, it was raining, but as we see, the sun just popped back out, and that's the Father's shining as light on us as well too. He telling us come to that light. You understand? And get out that dark. And as we afflict our souls, you understand? And this is how we do God's work as well, too. And peace and blessings for those that you know who come in here. And as you come in here, speak as well, too, because I'm not on here just to be long-winded. You know, I came in here just to see if those that you know ask the questions to those that do you feel can you sacrifice? Do you have the willpower? Do you have the willpower to do God's work? You understand? And if you know that you don't have willpower doing God's work, that lets you know that you and your flesh desires. That lets you know that you living in Galatians 5:19-21. And as you just in here, just me and you. And as you watching me, you can't say something to me. And then the person who just walked on came here as well too. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings to you. Put in the comments how you feel this morning. Ask yourself this question. You think that you can you do you have willpower with yourself? Can you sacrifice whatever that you do in your days? I don't know who you are, so you know yourself better than I. You know yourself temptations. But I'm putting this out here to this world. If you know that you don't have willpower, if you know that you can't be obedient to God's words, you would never understand God's words because you always going to contradict yourself. You understand? You're always going to stagnate yourself. You're always going to hinder yourself. Don't blame God. Don't blame God for your actions. You understand? Because God's words already just been written. So you have to blame yourself for not just having willpower, because you don't have willpower because you don't believe in God's words. But if you had willpower, you would. Peace and blessings, Kaden. How you feel this morning? How you feel? And as you see the banner, if you came in here and you read before you came in here, I want to ask you as well, too, for those who coming in here, do you have willpower? Do those have willpower doing God's work? As you woke up this morning, ask yourself, do you have willpower? Can you sacrifice? You said, I know, just send money. Send money for what? What you talking about, Mark? We don't do no donations or ask for money on this channel. We're not no religion. You know what I'm saying? We're not Christians. You already saw that on YouTube as it is with the guy, who claimed that, he's a cloth of God, but he asking he asking those that, who come there and praise with him. He asked them for $40,000. You understand? We don't do that. The Bible already teaches us that we don't have to ask for tithes. And as we know in the Bible, tithes back then was food. You understand? Some was paying with money, but at the same time, the Bible, when they were serving tithes, it was with food. For those that you're in your religion groups who go to church, that's why them pastors be up here just be stripping y'all, because y'all don't have no faith structure. Y'all don't believe in your own salvation, so y'all go to a church where a man would tell you about your salvation. And how can somebody tell you about your salvation? How can somebody tell you to shut the door? Shut the doors. Shut the doors and go in your pockets and bring me out $40,000. That's what y'all praise. We don't praise that over here. You understand? We don't praise those that, who call themselves teachers. We deprogram ourselves from that. We pick up this Bible and we call ourselves Bible servants over here. We do God's work 365 days out of a year. You understand? We don't do all that buffoonery. You understand? Peace and blessings, T. How you be, T? How you be, I Pierce, Mark, Caden, and how you feel? But you said Jesus for dollars. Who doing Jesus for dollars? We don't do no Jesus for dollars. We do Jesus. We do Yeshua. We do Yeshua for salvation. And for those that who using Jesus, which Christ do you serve? Because as we know, as some heathens serve, they serve that white Christ, that painted Christ. And them the ones who get bamboozled for that because y'all up there praising that white Christ. And as we know that, that's a false Christ. Because as we know, Revelations 1:14 and 15 teach us about who is Christ. They even say what color he is. And for those who be like, well, he's Middle Eastern. But if he is Middle Eastern, he still have melon. He's not white. And for those who serving the other Jesus that who's in the abomination, it's the same sex. They have abomination as well, Jesus Christ as well. So you have to understand, but their Jesus Christ have on rainbow colors and makeup. You understand? So this is why you have to ask yourself, who are you serving? Are you serving religion? Because we don't serve religion. We don't ask people for money. We don't do them things like that because God, he give us our blessings as we do our work, as we strip ourselves, as we fast, cleanse, detox, afflict your soul. And this is what I'm saying to those as well right now. Do you have willpower with yourself? Can you do God's work? You said, what religion is he teaching? I'm not teaching no religion. This is not religion. This is salvation. What you see on YouTube, what you see for those that what you saw, if you saw the one guy in his religion asking this congregation for $40,000, that's a religion. You understand? We don't do that over here. We don't call ourselves teachers. We don't call ourselves pastors and things like that. We call ourselves Bible servants. We stand on this Bible. We fear God on this channel. You understand? And those over there don't fear God. You understand? So that's why they asking those who come in here like, what religion is he teaching? This is not no religion. This is your salvation. For those who look at religion because you don't want to do your due diligence and by reading. So that's why y'all go to the religion. But for those who do their due diligence like us, we stand on Bible scriptures. We don't have to get bamboozled. We don't have to go to a church and sit right there up on nothing but heathens. You understand? And who just in their flesh desires. And just like those who came here as well too. You mustn't read the title. I asked, the question was, do you have willpower? I didn't come on here just to be long-winded because right now we're doing our 1-2. And doing the 1-2 is about our salvation. And you said, so you're Christian. No, I'm not Christian. Let me get you on up out of here, you heathen. Let me get you on up out of here. Let me get you on up out of here because that's what's wrong with flesh. You flesh, you always want to come in here and always want to ask somebody about them. Who are you? Who are you serving? As we see that you got all that buffoonery, so we know that you serving flesh. And serving flesh, that let me know that you're serving Satan. You understand? Because you want to name all these religions, Muslim, Christianity, and all this. No, I just told you once again, we Bible servants over here. We don't call ourselves religion. You understand? We stand on salvation. This is what we do 365. Those in a religion, they go and serve on just certain days, Wednesday and the Sunday, and all them paganism days. You understand? But if you know anything about the Bible, you wouldn't be coming in here with your heathen ways. But at the same time, I didn't come on here for this. You understand? And as we fasting, I asked a question for those that who saw the title. Do you have willpower to do God's work today? Because if not, you're not going to never have salvation. Because today you should be fasting from everything, from drugs, cigarettes, weed, cocaine, whatever that you own, pills, food, alcohol, whatever that you use, even when it comes down from your attitudes, just, all that being on your buffoonery, all that's what you should be stripping yourself with today. You understand? You should be stripping yourself doing God's work besides always in your flesh desires. And this is why the world is corrupt now, because all of y'all is abominators. That's all y'all do is serve flesh. And as those who just come on YouTube, the only thing that y'all like to hear is gossip. Y'all don't like to hear the gospel. That's why you come here asking questions. What are your religion? I just said about no religion. This is not no religion over here. God's word is not no religion. Flesh made a religion. Y'all already saw the man yesterday who was on out here doing this told his whole church to shut the doors. Shut the doors. I need 40,000. I need say there's 1,000 in here. It's 1,000 on the internet. I need 20 from them, all in the crowds, and I need 100 for y'all who's sitting up here with me. I said, wow. And that's what y'all going to that's what y'all Christians going praise. Y'all going praise flesh. Those who ask you to come out your pockets. The Father don't ask us this. The Father asks you to keep his commandment. That's why he showed his wrath. Only flesh will bamboozle you. God won't bamboozle you. And this is why he showed his wrath, because those always want to be in their flesh desires, always praising flesh kings. That's why you have them other heathens. They got MAGA, make America great again. Yeah, but all of them is heathens. And all of them is strictly about, as we see, that's all they own is racism. You understand? So this is what this world is based on. So this is why, for those that who do God's work, this is why we have to separate ourselves, sanctify ourselves, just like how he did with the Sabbath. You understand? And Genesis 2 tell us about this as how he separate and sanctify things. You understand? But with you heathens, y'all don't understand this. And it's sad, like I said, I asked the question about do y'all do God's work? I mean, how do you have willpower? But since that y'all want to listen, let me close this out, because I'm not on here for none of that. I came on here to ask y'all questions. I already know how to serve the Father. But at the same time, you heathens is always in your flesh desires, so you want to understand God's words. And this is what's sad. So let me close out. God loves you. You are a treasured possession. Your name is written in the palm of his hand. He knows the number of hairs on your head. He has a good plan for your life, and he will love you forever. And always understand that, God knows, he knows the number of hairs on your head. So there's no reason for you waking up being deceitful to yourself and those that you encounter. And this is why you should sacrifice and do God's work, because God got a plan for all those who woke up this morning. As you heathens in here right now, y'all don't even understand that, you woke up receiving breath for life. You understand? So as you wake up receiving breath for life, you should always praise and rejoice, besides always in your flesh desires, and he will love you forever. You understand? Yes. Let me see what you said on here. How do you feel about baptism? I just told you about all that. Anything that depends on if it's a religion. With your baptism, you get your baptism through God's words. You understand? You start out with book of Genesis. You understand? Book of Genesis tell you about the baptism. You understand? The only thing you have to do is just read it, and you will understand God's words. So once again, I'm going to ask you this question, since that you want to ask me a question. Do you feel that, do you have willpower to do God's work? And this is what I'm asking those. Do you have willpower to do God's work? Because if you don't have willpower doing God's work, that's all you're going to be asking is questions. How do you feel about baptism? You should know about baptism. You should already know about God's words. So when you ask someone else about something, that lets you know where you at with your flesh desires. And this is what you should be stripping yourself down for today. But I'm gonna throw a little seed for you. For those up in here that that y'all still stuck in your ways, because y'all like to ask questions, but I'm asking you a question about how do you serve? Who do you serve? What is your God's name? What is your Messiah's name? These are the questions that you have to ask yourself. What about you breaking the generational curse? What about your family structure? What about your faith structure? These are the questions that you should be asking yourself today. And I'm gonna break this down for you as well too. Genesis 1, and it tells us in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. You understand? Here we go. 2, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. There go the Spirit. 3, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. That's God's words. There go your baptism, my good brother. You understand? That's all you have to do, my good brother. And then after that, go to Exodus 20 and just start reading on about the 10 commandments. But the first 5 books will get you together, and this is what we call the Torah. You understand? So as you do you have melon? If you know that you have melon, you should already know what you should be doing with yourself and your salvation as well too, because this is for God's people. You understand? And this is why the heathens and those that who's out here is going against God's words and made this a religion. And for those that who going to them churches and having the ones talking about shut the doors, shut them doors, and go in your pockets and give me 40,000. Y'all flesh, them the ones who y'all flesh pleasing. Them y'all flesh kings. You understand? And that's why God sent them flesh kings to y'all. Because just like how the Israelites was at the same time when the Israelites asked for a flesh king. You understand? And that's why he gave them Saul. That was the first king of the Israelites. You understand? So you have to do your due diligence. And when you do your due diligence, that's when you deprogram yourself of being programmed. So once again, today is a fast. It's not about no boasting. But today you shouldn't be drinking, smoking, no profanity, nothing that you know what's in your flesh desires. This is what you should be deprogramming yourself with. You understand? So this is why I asked you that question. If you don't have willpower to serve God, that let you know. If you know that you can't fast, if you know you can't go without a cigarette, if you know that you can't last long without some food, if you know that you can't last without cussing, sex, or whatever else that you do, that let you know that you don't have no willpower for God and you will never do God's work. You understand? So this is why I come on here just now to let you know that you said, brother, I think Christianity is wrong. And it is wrong. That's a religion. That's a religion. And as we see those who are in the religion, we see that they don't serve God. They serve Satan. They worship that flesh pastor. And as we say on here, we don't want to be called no teachers. We call ourselves Bible servants. You understand? And Bible servants, and as you know what the word servant means in the Bible means slave. You understand? And as we do God's work, you're supposed to be a child to God. You understand? And then once again, you have to ask people, who are they serving? What is your God's name? If you're picking up this Bible, what is God's name in this Bible? What is the Messiah name? So you have to ask these questions with yourself. If you're not doing your due diligence, of course you will get brainwashed. You say if Christ is God and he came to earth, no, Christ is not God. Don't get into that Christianity. How can Christ be God if he already telling you that I came and my father? He's telling you his father. So we already know that's Christianity, my good brother. So this is why you have to pick up this Bible and read your salvation. Don't listen to no religion. All that is paganism. And we already understand this. So this is why the more that you keep on being in tune with that paganism, the more that you're going to keep on being corrupt, thinking that, Jesus is God and Jesus is not God. You understand? Christianity want to say Jesus is God because they don't want to do God's work. That's why they always stay in the New Testament. Always talk about Paul saying this. But Paul will tell you as well, too, that he's a Hebrew. Saying just like when Christ was talking to Paul. And it says it in the Bible. When Christ talked to Paul, he called him Saul. And it says in there, it said in Hebrew. He said in Hebrew language, he's talked to Paul. And he said Saul. Saul is in Hebrew, mean Paul. You understand? But the Christians always want to twist things up because they want to put themselves here. This is not the God of Christianity. This is not the God of Islam. This is not a God of Catholic. You understand? So this is why you have to deprogram yourself. You said many of my Jew friends constantly, no, I'm not going to get into all that. I'm not going to get into all that. When I came on here to ask those as well, do you have willpower to do God's work? Because if so, fast today. Be in tune with God's words. Whatever that you need to do with your salvation, you know yourself better than I. If you know that you got a potty mouth, you need to correct that stuff today. If you know that you smoke a lot of cigarettes, weed, drink, or whatever, you don't need to do none of that until the sundown. Prepare yourself for the Sabbath. And this is what I came on here for. I didn't come on here for no questions. Because these days on Thursday, from Friday to Saturday, this is preparation day. You understand? So you said, so are you saying the only right interpretation of the Bible is your own after reading? Once that you understand as you read the Bible, you will understand your salvation, my good brother. And once you do that, that's when you be with your spouse, your kids, and deprogramming yourself from your flesh desires. You understand, Brando? Once you start doing that, besides going to a church, you don't have to go to a church. Your temple's right here. And as you read God's words, he already tell you how to praise. You understand? Where your baptism and things is that after you read all these good things. Because we already know how flesh is already want to get praised. So this is why we come on here and say the things that we say. And as you retracted your own words, I'm going to retract this as well, too. Get you on up out of here. Because sometimes that, people have to understand that when people show you some type of structure, the only thing you have to do is pick it up and read. Just don't go off a man's mouth. And that's what I'm saying with myself as well. What you hear from me, you can pick it up and do it as well, too, and hear from God's words. You understand? So if y'all here today, peace and blessings. King Motivator, Rock love you. God love us. And let's do God's work today. Sacrifice. Put on white. Cleanse your soul. Prepare for the Sabbath. And I'll see y'all later. Peace and blessings. That's all I came on for. Shalom. Yes, sir. Do y'all due diligence.